My son got a girlfriend who's 10 years older than him, divorced, and has a 5-year-old son. Of course I didn't approve. I strongly opposed it, but my son went on a hunger strike for a week, threatening to die. Watching my son grow so weak he could barely speak, I gave in. On the day we met the parents, she said arrogantly, Ethan said he'll treat my son as his own, and to put my mind at ease, he's already gotten a vasectomy. Of course, if your family treats my son well, I might consider letting Ethan get a reversal surgery. My son also rushed to declare his loyalty. Until Jessica agrees, I absolutely won't have children of my own. I completely gave up hope. I said calmly, whatever you two decide is fine. I have no objections. When my son brought Jessica home for dinner, I didn't make things difficult for her or show her a cold face. I received her with a calm heart. She wore elaborate makeup and dressed young, but standing next to my 23-year-old son, you could see the age difference, though it wasn't too dramatic. I breathed a sigh of relief inwardly and smiled as I made small talk with her. After chatting for about half an hour, I took out an envelope I'd prepared beforehand and handed it to her. Inside was $11,000, which by our local standards was already quite generous. When Jessica took it, she thought she was being subtle, but her fingers obviously pinched to gauge the thickness. The corners of her mouth turned down. Clearly, she thought it was too little. I'd originally thought that since my son loved her so much, she must have some redeeming qualities I hadn't discovered yet, and I wanted to talk with her more. Now, I'd completely lost interest. I made an excuse about having work at the company, preparing to end this meeting. That's when Jessica spoke up. Since Ethan and I are planning to get married, we'll be family from now on. There's something I don't want to hide from you. Ethan always says you're an open-minded mother. I believe you'll understand. Hearing this, I had a bad feeling. Sure enough, Jessica's attitude seemed respectful, but her eyes were full of provocation as she said, Ethan said he'd treat my child as his own, but words are just words. So to put my mind at ease, he voluntarily got a vasectomy. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. A vasectomy? Suppressing my anger, I looked sharply at my son. Ethan, is what she's saying true? My son's eyes flashed with guilt as he explained, Mom, Andy is still young, at a sensitive age. He often has nightmares at night because he's scared. Not only is Jessica worried, I'm worried too. So I went and got the vasectomy. Jessica pretended to comfort me. This is all temporary. As long as I'm sure your family truly treats my son well, I'll agree to let Ethan get a reversal surgery. A surge of anger shot up, burning so hot my whole body trembled. What did she mean by, she's sure? She'll agree? But before I could demand an explanation, my son was already rushing to show his loyalty to Jessica. Don't worry, I'll never go back on what I promised you. Until you agree, I absolutely won't have children of my own. My son's words were like a bucket of cold water poured over me, chilling me to the bone. In that moment, I completely gave up hope. I said calmly, whatever you two decide is fine. I have no objections. Ethan took Jessica home, and I collapsed on the sofa, lost in thought. My son Ethan had been obedient and sensible since childhood, did well in school, got into a prestigious university, and after graduation used his own abilities to get into a major tech company. I could say he'd never given me any trouble, but I never expected I'd stumble so badly on his marriage. Jessica was his co-worker. Ethan fell for her at first sight. She's extremely capable. She's been involved in so many major projects. She has a great personality. Everyone at the company likes her. There are a lot of factions at the company. If she hadn't warned me, I would have offended people. When we work overtime, she always orders takeout for me. This was Ethan's first relationship. Of course I wanted to bless it, but Jessica was not only 10 years older than him, she was also divorced and even had a 5-year-old son. What I didn't expect even more was that Ethan would go on a hunger strike and threaten to die for her sake. A mother can probably never win against her son, so I gave in and tried hard to convince myself to accept them. But I never imagined that this woman Jessica would encourage Ethan to get a vasectomy. I run beauty salons. My job is dealing with women. I knew her little schemes crystal clear. Ethan's hunger strike for her